It was 2:17 a.m. when the phone rang. I almost didn't answer. Not because I was asleep, I hadn't slept in days, but because the number flashing on the screen was unlisted. My dad's old landline, the one he disconnected when we moved out 2 years ago. "Hello?" I whispered, my voice cracking. Static. Then, a child's laugh. High-pitched. Familiar. "Mom?" I choked out. "Is that you?" The laugh cut short. A single word seeped through the line. "You shouldn't have come back." I slammed the phone down. My hands shook. The walls of this house, the old house, seemed to lean in, closing around me. I'd moved back to Clearview Manor to fix it up, to forget, to pretend the past didn't still ache like a fresh wound. But the second I stepped through the front door, the air turned thick, like breathing through water. The same air Mom used to say felt wrong before the accident. The laugh echoed again, not from the phone, but down the hall. I froze. That laugh, it wasn't Mom's, it was hers. "Lila?" I called, my voice small. "Lila, is that you?" Lila was my little sister. She died here. The floorboards creaked, not from my footsteps. I sprinted to the kitchen, grabbed a butter knife, and clutched it like a sword. Stupid, I know, but the dark felt alive, watching. "Who's there?" I shouted, louder than I meant to. The walls swallowed my words. A thump, then another, like something heavy dragging across the carpet. I tiptoed toward the living room. The TV flickered on, static, but then movement, a shadow darting across the screen, a silhouette with too many limbs. "Turn it off!" I screamed. The TV went black. I found the first note on the stairs. "Why are you here?" It read, scrawled in jagged letters. No signature. My throat tightened. The handwriting, it looked like Mom's, but she'd been dead for years. The second note was on my bed. "She's still waiting." The third, under the bathroom sink. "It's your turn." I packed a bag. I'd leave at dawn. I just needed to. A cold breath hit my neck. "Don't run," a voice hissed in my ear. Software Mom's voice, but wrong, hollow. I spun around. No one was there. The basement door slammed shut. I'd forgotten about the basement. Dad boarded it up after Lila. But now the boards were gone. The door hung open, inviting me down. "Go ahead," the voice whispered, this time from behind me. "Find her." I didn't want to, but my legs moved anyway. The stairs groaned. The flashlight in my hand trembled. The basement was a tomb. Dust coated everything. And in the corner, a rocking chair, swinging gently. "Lila?" I choked. The chair stopped. A tiny hand reached out from the shadows. Pale, cold, wrong. I stumbled back, Olgan, and the door slammed. The voice laughed again, louder now, deeper. "You think you're the first?" it growled. "This house eats families, generation after generation." I backed toward the stairs, but the chair lurched forward. The figure in it, not Lila, a little girl with blackened eyes and a grin stretched too wide. "Mommy's still down here," it giggled. "We'll play forever." The walls pulsed. The air reeked of rot. I ran. Up the stairs, through the house, but the doors slammed shut. The windows wouldn't budge. "You can't leave," the voice boomed, echoing in every room. "You're home now." The rocking chair appeared behind me. The little girl's smile split her face. "Join us," she whispered. "We've missed you," I screamed. I woke up on the front lawn, dawn bleeding over the horizon, the knife still in my hand, my clothes torn, my skin raw. The house stood silent behind me, but as I stumbled away, I heard it. A faint, familiar laugh, and a whisper carried on the wind. "We'll see you tonight." They said I'd passed out from dehydration, that the notes were just my stress. They were wrong, because last night the phone rang again, and this time I answered. "Did you really think you'd escape?" Mom's voice, but not Mom's. I hung up, But the static never stopped, and the laughter, it's still there, listening, waiting, coming. The mirror in the hallway cracked the day I moved in. Not a chip or a scratch. A crack, like a jagged lightning bolt splitting the glass from top to bottom. I just unpacked my last box in the attic, sweat dripping down my neck, when I heard it. A snap, sharp as a gunshot. I didn't think much of it at first. The house was old, Victorian, with sagging floors and walls that breathed. My great-aunt Mabel's house. She died there alone, they said, and no one wanted it. But I did. A fresh start. A way to outrun the guilt gnawing at me since Mom's accident. But that mirror, it started small. The first night, I caught my reflection in the bathroom mirror. I was brushing my teeth, and when I glanced up, my eyes locked with my own. But my reflection winked. I froze. My mouth kept moving, scrubbing my teeth, but my real eyes stayed open. "What?" I whispered. The reflection laughed, a high, hollow sound. Then it was gone. I told myself it was exhaustion, jet lag. But the next morning, I found the bathroom mirror fogged with condensation. No shower had been running, and in the mist, etched in water, were words. "I'm here." My hand shook as I wiped it away. The attic door creaked open that afternoon. I'd ignored it until then, but curiosity, or maybe something darker, dragged me upstairs. The air was thick, and the floorboards groaned underfoot. In the corner, a trunk, covered in dust, but the lock was new, chrome and shiny. I pried it open. Inside was a journal, leather-bound, and a framed photo. The photo showed a woman in a lace dress, standing in the same hallway mirror that now cracked above my fireplace. Her face was mine. The journal's first entry read, October 31st, 1892. They say I'm mad, that the mirror showed me things that aren't there. But I saw her, my reflection, laughing while I wept. It whispers now. It wants to live. And I can't stop it. The laughter grew louder. By night 2, my reflection wasn't just winking, it was moving. In the bedroom mirror, it'd stand when I sat, lean closer when I stepped back. Once, when I turned away, I caught a glimpse of it smiling, a grin that stretched too far, lips peeling back to show jagged teeth. I called my best friend, Jess. "It's following me," I said, voice cracking. "In every mirror. It's changing." "Move out," she snapped. "This isn't healthy." But I couldn't. Not yet. The attic journal held more entries. November 5th. It's in the walls now. I hear it scratching. It says it's my twin, that we were born together, but they buried her. Now she's free. She wants my face, my life. A photo fell from the pages, the same woman from the frame, but her reflection in the mirror was twisted, a skeletal face with hollow eyes. The third night, the mirror in the hallway spoke. I was passing it, carrying a glass of water, when the figure in the glass turned to face me. My reflection's mouth moved. "You're late," it said. My voice, but deeper, warped. I dropped the glass. It shattered. The reflection tilted its head. "You should have come sooner." I barricaded myself in the living room. No mirrors there, just a dusty portrait of Aunt Mabel. I flipped through her obituary online, my hands trembling. "Found any ghosts yet?" Jess joked when I called. "Jess, I think Aunt Mabel's journal. It's mine. The dates, the names. It's like she's writing about me." Silence. Then, "Get out." The mirror in the bathroom flooded with steam that night. The reflection stood behind me, dripping wet, but the shower hadn't run. It reached out. Its hand passed through the glass and touched my shoulder. Ice cold. "We're the same," it hissed. "You'll see." I ran. Upstairs, to the attic. The trunk was open, the journal gone. Only the photo remained, the one of the woman who looked like me. Dawn came and the house was silent, but as I packed my bags, I caught movement in the hallway mirror. My reflection was standing in the room, behind me. I turned slowly. The mirror was intact again. No crack, just me. "Hello?" I said. The reflection smiled, a slow, cruel curl of the lips. Then it stepped forward, phasing through the glass. I don't remember the scream. The next thing I know, I'm on the front lawn, the sun blazing. The police say I was found hysterical, rambling about mirrors. They say the attic was empty. But when I look in the rearview mirror driving away, there's someone sitting in the passenger seat, pale with a hollow gaze, smiling. "Finally," it whispers. "You're ready." The reflection in the rearview nods. Both of them. I keep driving, but the road's endless now, and every time I glance back, there's two of me, always smiling, always waiting. It started on a Tuesday night. I was driving home from work, the kind of day where everything seemed to go wrong. Traffic delays, spilled coffee, missed deadlines. By the time I pulled out of the parking lot, all I wanted was to collapse on the couch and forget about the world. But as I merged onto the highway, something felt off. The air was too still, too quiet. Even the radio static seemed louder than usual. My house stood there, silent and unassuming, but for some reason, it made my skin crawl. I shrugged it off, telling myself I was just tired. But once I hit the open road, the feeling didn't fade. It lingered, growing stronger with every passing mile. At first, it was little things. A flicker in the rearview mirror, shadows moving at the edges of my vision, the faint sound of rustling leaves outside my window. Then came the fog. It rolled in slowly, thick and white, swallowing the landscape whole. One moment, the trees lining the highway were sharp and clear. The next, they were ghostly silhouettes fading into nothingness. Visibility dropped to mere feet. My headlights barely pierced the haze, casting weak beams of light that dissipated almost instantly. For a while, I convinced myself it was nothing unusual, just weather playing tricks on me. But then the tapping started. Tap, tap, tap. It sounded like fingers drumming against the passenger side window. I turned my head sharply, half expecting to see someone sitting there, staring at me with hollow eyes. But the seat beside me was empty. Still, the noise continued, reverberating through the cabin until it filled every corner of the vehicle. "What the hell is going on?" I whispered, my voice trembling despite my best efforts to keep it steady. I checked the side mirrors, then the rearview mirror again. Nothing followed me. No cars behind me. No signs of life anywhere. All I saw was the endless wall of fog stretching endlessly in every direction. Desperation clawed at my chest. There had to be somewhere safe, somewhere I could pull over and regroup, a gas station, a rest area, anything. Finally, I spotted a sign. "Next exit, rest area." Without hesitation, I veered off the highway, tires squealing as I navigated the ramp. The rest area was mostly deserted, save for a lone truck parked near the vending machines. Perfect. I sped toward the building, slamming the brakes hard enough to send pebbles flying. Before the engine even died, I leapt out of the car and bolted inside, locking the door behind me. Heart pounding, I pressed my back against the wall, panting heavily. Safe. I was safe, or so I thought. Through the grimy window, I watched as the fog began to shift. Shapes formed within its depths, dark, indistinct figures moving just beyond the reach of visibility. They weren't human, not entirely. Their movements were jerky, unnatural, like marionettes controlled by invisible strings. Panic surged through me. I grabbed a fire extinguisher from the corner and positioned myself near the door, ready to fight if necessary. Minutes passed. Hours felt like days. Outside, the shapes remained, circling the building like predators waiting for their prey. Eventually, exhaustion took over. Slumping to the floor, I buried my face in my knees and cried. tears streaming down my cheeks. How had this happened? What had I done to deserve this nightmare? Sometime later, I lost track of time. The lights outside dimmed. Not the street lights or the neon signs, but the fog itself seemed to grow denser, darker. Shadows coalesced into solid forms, pressing closer to the windows. Relief flooded me. Maybe it had given up. Maybe it had moved on. But deep down, I knew better. It was supposed to be a peaceful weekend getaway. Just me, Jessica, and our tiny cabin nestled deep in the woods. The kind of place where you could forget about everything, or so I thought. The drive there was uneventful. A little rain, some foggy roads, but nothing out of the ordinary. When we arrived, the cabin looked exactly as it did in the photos. Cozy, rustic, isolated. Perfect for some much-needed relaxation. We unpacked, lit a fire, and settled in. It was late afternoon when things started feeling off. At first, it was just small things. A branch tapping against the window. The wind howling louder than it should. But then around dusk, I heard it. A soft scraping sound coming from outside, not far from the front porch. I told Jessica it was probably just an animal, but she didn't seem convinced. Neither did I. I peeked through the curtains, trying not to make any noise. Nothing. Just the dark outline of trees swaying in the distance. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something, or someone, was watching us. Jessica laughed it off, saying I'd been watching too many horror movies. Maybe she was right, or maybe she was wrong. Later that night, after we went to bed, the sounds came back. Only this time, they were closer. Much closer. Like right outside the walls of the cabin. Scratching, tapping, breathing. Oh God, the breathing. I grabbed my flashlight and crept toward the door. "Stay here," I whispered to Jessica. She nodded, clutching the blanket tighter around her shoulders. When I opened the door, nothing. Just the cold night air rushing in. But as I stepped outside to investigate, I felt it. Something brushing against my ankle. Fast. Like fingers grabbing at me before letting go. I slammed the door shut and bolted back inside. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst out of my chest. "What happened?" Jessica asked, panic rising in her voice. "I don't know," I said, shaking my head. "But we need to stay inside," and locked up tight. For hours, we sat there in silence, listening to every creak, every groan of the old cabin. Then, just as dawn began to break, it happened again. This time, inside the house. Footsteps, light, quick footsteps moving across the floor upstairs. Neither of us had gone up there. We both knew it. "Did you hear that?" Jessica whispered, her voice trembling. "Yes," I replied, gripping the flashlight like a weapon. "Stay behind me." We slowly made our way up the stairs, each step creaking under our weight. When we reached the top, I froze. There, standing in the middle of the hallway, was a figure. Tall, thin, its face hidden in shadow. "Who's there?" I called out, my voice barely above a whisper. No answer, just a slow turn of its head, revealing glowing red eyes that seemed to burn straight into my soul. I screamed and ran back down the stairs, dragging Jessica with me. We barricaded ourselves in the living room, tears streaming down our faces. What else could we do? As the sun finally rose, casting light over the forest, the noises stopped. Whatever it was gone. Or maybe it was waiting for the next night, waiting for us to let our guard down. We packed up quickly and left without looking back. To this day, I still wonder what or who was in that cabin with us, and if it's still there. It started with the knocking. 3 slow, heavy raps on my front door, every night, at exactly 3:03 a.m. I told myself it was the wind, a loose branch, maybe a prank. But the third night, I heard a voice, A wet, gurgling whisper right against the wood. "Let me in. It's raining." I didn't sleep. I didn't move. I just stared at the door handle, waiting for it to turn. When the sun rose, I checked outside. No mud, no footprints, just a puddle of dark, oily water, shimmering like it was alive. I should have moved. I should have burned the house down. But I stayed. Because the next day, my neighbor, Mrs. Perry, asked me, "Who were you talking to last night?" Her face was pale, her knuckles white around her coffee mug. "I saw him standing on your porch, tall, too tall, wearing a black suit. But his face, it was like someone melted it." That night, the knocking came earlier, 2:47 a.m. And this time, it wasn't just the door. It was the windows, the walls, the ceiling, like something was crawling, clawing its way through the house. I hid in the bathroom, phone trembling in my hand. The call to 911 dropped. All I heard was static, and then laughter. High-pitched, jagged, a child's laugh. But when I looked in the mirror, there were handprints on the glass. Small, smeared, like a kid had pressed against it. But they weren't on the outside. They were on the inside. I ran. Didn't grab shoes, keys, nothing. The street was dead silent. Not even crickets. Mrs. Perry's house was dark, except for a flickering blue glow in her attic. I screamed her name. No answer. Just the creak of her attic stairs and a drip, drip, drip of that same oily water pooling under her door. I broke a window, climbed in. The smell hit me first. Rot and copper. Her living room was covered in photos, dozens of them nailed to the walls. All of me. Sleeping, showering, standing at the door talking to nothing. And in every shot, right behind me, a shadow. Tall, stretched thin, with glowing white eyes, the dripping grew louder. Upstairs. I followed it, step by step, floorboards groaning. Her attic door was open. The blue light pulsed like a heartbeat. And there she was, Mrs. Perry, sitting in a circle of candles, her mouth stitched shut with black thread. Her eyes, gone, just hollow sockets, weeping thick black tears. She pointed at me, then at the wall, a symbol carved into the wood, a spiral with a jagged line through it, and below it scrawled in what looked like blood, "You let him in." The candles blew out. Something grabbed my ankle, cold, bony fingers. I kicked, fell down the stairs, ran into the street. A car swerved, almost hit me. The driver rolled down his window. "What the hell, lady?" I begged him to help, but he just stared past me, face crumbling. Who's that behind you?" I didn't look. I ran until my lungs burned. Cops found me at dawn. They didn't believe me. Not until we got back to my house. The door was wide open. Inside, every surface was covered in that oily water, and written on the mirror in dripping black letters, "Thank you for the shelter." They never found Mrs. Perry. They never found it. But last night, the knocking came back. This time, softer, at my bedroom window. And when I finally looked, there was a face. Pale, stretched, smiling with too many teeth. And behind it, hundreds more, all shapes, all ages, some rotting, some burning, but all whispering the same thing. "You're one of us now." I'm recording this because I can feel it in my throat. The stitches, the cold. Don't trust the silence. Don't answer the door. And if you hear knocking, it began with the package on my doorstep. No postmark, no address. Just my name scrawled in shaky red letters. Jessica, open before midnight. The box was ice cold, even in the summer heat. Inside was a VHS tape, the label peeling, home movie, 1987. I hadn't owned a VCR in years. But that night, I dug my old one out of the attic. The footage was grainy, distorted, just static at first. Then a house. My house. But older, decayed, with black vines crawling up the walls. The camera panned to a backyard I've never had, where a woman in a white dress stood, facing away. Her head tilted, too far, like her neck was broken. Then she turned, and it was me. Same scar on my chin from childhood, same freckles, but her eyes, pitch black, leaking thick tar. She grinned and raised a hand, pointing through the screen, right at me. Then the tape cut to a family sitting at a dinner table, rotting, maggots falling from their lips. A voice hissed, "You're next!" I yanked the tape out, shoved it in a drawer. But that night, I heard it. A whirring sound. The VCR turned itself on. The screen flickered, showing my living room, right now, in real time. I watched myself sleep on the couch, and behind me, a shadow. Tall, hunched, fingers dragging across the floor. I called my best friend, Kyle. He laughed. "Jess, you've been binge-watching too many horror movies." But he came over. We burned the tape in the backyard. The flames turned green, and the smoke smelled like burnt hair. Kyle froze. "Dude, your windows." Every pane was covered in handprints. Small, child-sized, but charred, like they'd been burned. Kyle tried to wipe one and screamed. His palm blistered, black veins spreading up his arm. "It's in me!" He smashed the VCR with a bat, then ran into the night. I haven't seen him since. 3 days later, the knocking started. Not on the door, inside the walls. Soft at first, then furious, like something was clawing its way out. I found photos under my bed, old Polaroids of me as a kid, playing in a yard I don't remember. In every shot, that woman in white watched from the trees. The power went out. My flashlight beam caught words etched into the hallway mirror. "Where's Kyle?" I followed a trail of wet, sticky footprints to the basement. The door was open, a cold draft, and the smell of rot. Kyle's voice floated up the stairs. "Jess, help me." But when I reached the bottom, it wasn't Kyle. It wore his face, stretched over something jagged and wrong. Its jaw unhinged, and 100 voices screamed at once. "We found you!" I woke up in the hospital. They said I collapsed in the street, babbling about tapes and shadows. But when I got home, the VCR was back on my porch. The tape inside wasn't mine. It was labeled Kyle's Last Night. I played it. The footage showed Kyle tied to a chair in my basement. The woman in white stood behind him, peeling his skin off like paper. He kept screaming until his eyes turned black. Then he looked into the camera and whispered, "She's coming for your skin, Jess, and she's hungry." I packed a bag, threw it in the car, but the engine wouldn't start. The radio crackled. "Stay with us, Jessica. We've missed you." The woman's voice. My rearview mirror flickered, and there she was, in the back seat. Her hand clamped over my mouth. Cold. So cold. I don't know how I got away. I'm in a motel now, door barricaded. But the TV, it won't turn off. It's playing a new tape, a live feed of this room. I'm on screen right now, typing this. And behind me, she's here, standing in the corner, smiling. If you find a tape with your name on it, don't watch it, don't burn it. They like it when you fight. Wait. The door's opening. No, no, no.